I'd like to call the regular meeting to order of the Nashville Town Council. Would you please stand for the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Shall we pray? Heavenly Father, again today we come to you requesting your wisdom and your knowledge, your guidance, and leading us to make the right decisions that will benefit all the citizens of Nashville. Amen.
Amen.
Before we get started, Jason, could you come up to the front and let everybody see you? He's our new Public Works Director, Jason Glover. His father taught me social studies in high school and was a coach. Yeah.
Thank you, y'all. This is kind of a homecoming for me. I started my career back in 2001 with the town of Nashville. Did a brief stint in Rocky Mount, and I'm glad to be home for the remainder of my career as the Public Works Director. So thank you, Mayor.
We're glad to have you.
Glad to have you.
Thank you so much.
Mayor, Jason, we do want to remind you what you just said. Now, you said for the remaining of your career.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
I got to go down.
Yes, sir.
All right.
At this time, let's look at our minutes from our last meeting. Were there any corrections to those minutes?
Yeah, I think I had two.
Okay.
Page 12. The comment I made, it says pre-built. The comment I made was stick-built. And then one addition I think we need to look into is on the police surplus items. I think for the record we need to put in there that we didn't know about that Polaris, and it's not in there. I know it's on the video, but it's not in the notes. I think even our mistakes need to be noted.
Any other corrections? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes?
Move to approve.
Is there a second? All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Now for time for public comments. Remember to come to the front, state your name, and you have 5 minutes. The first person is Kirby Winstead.
Random.
Rain, good.
Right. Good.
Hey, my name is Kirby Winstead. My address is 101 Forest View Drive, Nashville.
You speak up. Speak up.
And I am here to speak to the board in reference to and I'm actually speaking on behalf of our company, Key Properties, Key Printing, in reference to the backflow prevention buyback or reimbursement. If it would be okay, could I give the board this information?
Sure.
Just everybody to review.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I know the town is looking, or the council is looking at reimbursement for the installation for the businesses that were not required to have it. Our initial cost was $32.50 to do all, because we have 3 different locations that have plumbing to them. And so we were required to do one at each location, plus permits for each location, county and town. I would like to request that the board entertain the idea that instead of just doing a buyback, we personally would like to have it just put back to the way it was, where there is no backflow system. Because through my research through the internet, as well as speaking with licensed plumbers, they all are in agreement. It's not a matter of if you're going to have a problem, it's a matter of when you're going to have a problem. There is going to be maintenance, there is going to be malfunctions. One of the main things is long cold spells. They are going to burst, and then you've got to fix that. which if the town only does a reimbursement, then it's going to fall on me in a year, 2 years, 5 years, multiple times, we don't know, that we're going to have to pay to have that fixed. So as you can see in this breakdown, speaking with my plumber, he has already found a buyer for the units that have been put in. So I've given you all this information so you can see what he has deducted from his bill to put it back. So it would be an additional $720 on top of the reimbursement plus any additional permit fees that would be required to put it back underground so we don't have to worry about it. We've been there for 34 years. We've never had an issue. And we'd like to just go back to the way it was. And I think, honestly, that would be beneficial to the town for not having to deal with this issue if someone requests it for it to come up later down the road, that all of a sudden they've got issues and the town has to go and take care of that.
Thank you, Kirby. We certainly will take it into consideration.
Thank you.
Christopher Sandy. Is that right?
Thank you, City Council. I'm Christopher Sandy, 720 South Body Street. I own Build Right Supply. I just want to speak on the topic of, I call it we the people. I don't know where it happened in our country that municipalities and government, federal, state, county, become an entity that a lot of cases is adversarial or semi-monarchy. But the town of Nashville is compromised of the citizens and the businesses. Without the citizens and the businesses, we are not a town. And our administrative part of our town is the council and our administration, that paid salaries and all that sort of thing. And we have to make decisions that are intelligent and that's best for the people, best for the businesses, because without them, we're not here. We're not a town. We're not strong. We're not a perfect union. And I beg and implore you to get back to where we are and realize that you're here for us. Serve the community. The community does not serve this town. And we entrust the fiduciary responsibility to make decisions and things that's best for us. And you say, well, you can elect, you can change. Well, that's true, but the dissemination of information and people's involvement, that a lot of damage can be done in 2 years. And so I'll leave you with that, and I'll look, all the topics that's on the agenda today is case in point. So I plead, town of Nashville, be involved and know what's going on. And council and administration, do what's best for this town. Because we the people are the citizens and the businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on our agenda is the Junction stage rental rules. Corey?
Morning, Mayor and Council. So we have the stage rental rules ready for Council's consideration today. These rules were reviewed by the Council at a meeting on September 3rd, 2024, and we have made some changes based off of the comments on that day, and go over what those are. The main change is to Section 5E of those based off of the police security for events. At the time, and we've kind of reworked that all together, at the time we had it based off of whether or not an event had alcohol rather than the number of people. But since that is a social district, and in theory every event could have alcohol there, we changed that based off of the number of people. And then another one of the council's concerns at that time was not having one officer there by himself. So when police security kicks in, it is a minimum of 2 officers and then goes up for there depending on the number of people. Some of the other suggested changes from the council at that time was just clarifying language, number 2 on the rates. And we did add another rate to that wasn't there, which was for free public events, which is a lower rate at $100 per day. And again, the thought process there was that we want the stage to be used, we want it to be open to the public and have those free public events. So we put a reduced rate in there for that. And then your higher rates kick in where if we are blocking off that area for a private event or a for-profit event. Some of the other changes was requiring portable toilets, which we do have. I think it's on the second page there. We increased the non-resident rental rate, and we also put some language in there about not receiving a refund if it's a disregard for the rules. And if an event is canceled halfway through an event, that the individual would receive a partial refund just depending on the funds that were expended by the town for that event. So once approved, the next step would be for us to bring back to the council an amendment to our fee schedule to have these rates in there and an ordinance change for the special event permit process. And the thought was that as long as the rentals abide by these rules, that a special event permit would not be required. But if it is an event that would require street closures in the area or something to that effect, then that's when the special event process would kick in. And I will be glad to answer any questions the council may have.
Any questions from the council?
I have a couple. Maybe I'm not reading it right, but on page 16, 5B, I don't understand the food vending at the stage. I mean, I know what, I mean, we never allow that, right? I mean, it's just kind of weird. I mean, I don't understand the statement, but it seems like we're not going to put food on the stage.
So this is based off if somebody wanted to have a food truck at their event, there is some language in our ordinance through planning that has some requirements in there of how they're able to do that. So this is just pulling that language and saying that they would have to apply for and get that permit through our planning department in order to have a food truck at the venue. And maybe I need to change the word stage to say venue instead.
Yeah, this confused me. So I mean, maybe
We can do
confuse
that.
somebody else.
Yeah, just put stage area and not the stage itself.
And then my second question on page 17, MV talks about the cancellation to severe weather. Who makes that call? Is that listed somewhere I didn't see, or do we need to add that? Who makes the call on the cancellation of severe weather? Is it the renter, or is it the town, or is it you? Or, I mean, we just need to kind of clarify that, I think. Unless it's clarified somewhere else I missed.
So prior to an event, if it's something that we see as a safety concern, we would cancel the event and the renter would receive a 100% refund. This is if canceled during an event, and I guess that would be more up to the renter's discretion because we would not be there during the event. They would receive a partial refund at that point, depending on the amount of funds expended.
Okay, so this is during the event then.
Correct.
Okay.
In H, so 5H, and then in 6E, it does give COI the right to cancel for any of those reasons, and also to implement any other action deemed necessary to protect the health and welfare of the public, employees, or the stage.
Good, okay.
So I guess if the person who was holding the event said, no, let's just do it during the hurricane, he could say no.
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Are there any other questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the stage rental rules for the town staging facilities at the Nashville Junction, 207 West Cross Street?
So move.
Second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
The next item on our agenda is Backflow Preventor reimbursement. Randy?
Mayor and council, as you know, back in 2022, the town adopted a cross-connection ordinance to be compliant with NCDEQ mandate and EPA mandates requiring public water supplies to have active cross-connection programs. It took us a little bit to get organized and get staff in place to begin implementing that, particularly enforcing that ordinance. And we did here about the middle of the year, last year, 2024. About that same time, the legislature adopted or passed a rule. Actually, it was, it's been codified since. It's 130A 330, which prevents, that was passed in May. It was vetoed by the governor. The legislature overruled it, or overrode it, and it became law in September 2024. And that law prevents public water supplies from making backflow preventors required on services already in place, except for the high hazard ones. And there's 21 high hazard water connections which still require them. But in October 22nd, town staff discovered that we erroneously enforced our ordinance when we, by law, weren't able to. At that time, we had sent out 50 commercial customers, well, more than that. There were 50 commercial customers who installed backflow preventers that weren't required to by law. And so what staff is suggesting and recommending to the council today is that those customers who have incurred costs putting them in when they didn't have to be reimbursed their installation costs. And you heard connected to this particular matter is what Kirby just spoke about a few minutes ago. Some of the customers are going to want to, since they're not required, remove those, and they're likely going to be asking for reimbursement of the removal costs. So that's something the council will have to, Mayor, as you mentioned, take into consideration. Another is if we reimburse somebody for their backflow preventer being installed and they subsequently remove it, the town in essence paid for that particular backflow valve. Staff feels strongly that those need to be turned into the town. Now, I'm not sure what we do with them all, but I saw from what Kirby presented that there does seem to be a market for gently used backflow preventers. So we would likely be able to put those on gov deals and get something out of them. So as I may have told you, we have reached out to the town's insurance, and they are processing a claim for reimbursements. They're going to look at each one in detail and determine what part of it they're going to reimburse. Most likely it'll be for the valve itself and the installation, and that's probably going to be it. We do have 2 customers who put in a backflow preventer, and almost immediately their hot water heaters began leaking. I did call the plumber on one of those and asked him why they didn't put an expansion tank in the customer's plumbing on the customer's side of the backflow preventer, and I really didn't get a response from the plumber. Just said, well, the customer didn't ask for it and we didn't think to put one in. Well, most likely that water heater started leaking because once you put the backflow preventer in, you create a sealed system, and when the water heater heats up, the water expands, creates additional pressure, and that water heater may have been fine for years and years operating at that particular pressure, but now you put that valve in there, the pressure is even greater, and the tank started leaking on the water heater. At least that's my theory. That's what I'm surmising. So those are 2 additional decisions I feel the council needs to give consideration and an answer to in deliberating on this recommendation from the staff to reimburse. You have before you the list of the 50 customers who put them in that weren't required. Where there's a dollar amount, we've received a copy of their paid receipt, and I projected what it would cost based on the 20 that we've received, their actual cost, and what that average is for the 20, and then multiply that by the remaining 30 and then add the two together. And the total claim is looking like, just to reimburse the backflow preventer installation, about $94,242.
Any questions for Randy?
Randy, I've got a couple of questions. Number one, I do think that since this is a mistake that we as a town made, that each customer should be reimbursed of any cost that they concur with as a result of these backflow preventers. And I also would ask, is our maintenance department qualified or able to remove these backflow preventers rather than they had gone out hiring a plumber? Is that a job that we can do?
It is possible. Now, when I discussed this with Walt and Jason briefly, it somewhat depends how they were installed. Some of these may have been installed with couplers that you just simply unscrew, put a straight pipe where the valve is, screw them back together. Others have been hard plumbed in, soldered or crimped, in which case we don't have the equipment to do that. Where they're put in with couplers, we could take those out. I guess what my recommendation to the council would be is allow the customer, if they want to have them removed, to have their plumber remove them, and then you can consider whether you're going to reimburse for that. I would rather not task the Public Works Department with taking those out. They're not licensed plumbers, although they do know a lot about plumbing. So I think it would be best if the plumbers remove them also.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Well, I think it's important we talk about this and get it right, because it was our mistake. But at the same time, the code requires expansion, right? Expansion on the water heater, so that should have been in place already. And so I have a hard time fixing something that wasn't done right. That wasn't our fault, but that's just my thought.
Well, now I think you need to take into consideration the age of the hot water heater too. I think Xavier looked up before the meeting here what the average useful life of a hot water heater is, and I forget what you came up with.
Yeah.
Or what Google came up with.
Yeah, 8 to 10 on a gas and 12 to 15 on electric. And, that's with average usage, of course, and maintenance.
And the two water heaters that leak, Lou reached out to those customers and they told us the age.
They were 15. I think both of them were 15 years old. But both of them did say that they had no problems. One of them had been inspected the October before, and it had no problems, because that was a commercial one. And the other one, they said that immediately the next day it started leaking. So I can forward you those emails if y'all would like.
Mayor, if I may, with full transparency, I recognize on today that this is a mistake that the town has made, and it was really tied up in the General Assembly, of course, because on one hand, it's mandated by the state that we do this, and then we pursue it, and then on the other hand, it comes back out that, as Randy have already spoken of, that it was codified. I'm not so much problem-driven as I am solution-driven. We know that things happen, but my question would be, Randy, what have we done as an assessment now going forward? When we look at our Public Works Department, and I know that the general public is not privy to everything that as this council and town staff is, because certainly on the council we take an oath and we're just privileged to certain things that everyone is not. But in full transparency, knowing what we know, what steps have we taken now to move forward so that a mistake of this nature and this price point does not slip through the gap anymore, meaning Public Works Department, Walt's work that Walt does, as well as down to your office as town manager. What is it that we're able to do? Have we looked at that as a measure of going forward so that we could try to be more proactive than reactive in a manner of this nature. And, you know, we know that things happen. We're grateful for the insurance and things of that nature. And certainly as a council, we want to be fair to all of our citizens and all of our businesses. But where are we with that type of assessment?
Yeah, well, it's certainly brought to light. Anytime we have a policy or a program that's going to be putting cost on people, to really look at that and make sure that, as somebody had mentioned already, we get it right. And in this particular case, you know, the time that the legislature overrode the governor's veto that prevented us from enforcing our cross-connection ordinance as we had undertaken and intended to do, we were in between public works directors. Lee Brown had moved on, and Jason, or not Jason, but Brian Grice had just come in. And, you know, Brian, at the time when he came, didn't have his cross-connection certification yet, so, you know, anything that he would have received from the league or Rural Water or any of the other associations, you know, if it dealt with cross-connection, we'll give it to Walt. But anyway, so for myself and for the rest of the department heads going forward, again, any act that we're going to pursue that's going to put cost on our residents, our citizens, our businesses, we're going to make sure that, you know, we have the authority to do it, we are required to do it, and it's what we need to be doing. And in cases such as the Backflow Preventor, as we had done up to that point, keeping the council informed about how we're going to go forth, you know, with the implementation. With cross-connection, when we did get set up and we're in a position to begin enforcing that, we were going to start with the very high hazard ones, which most of them already were compliant and already had them in place. And then commercial, then the next round was the second water meters or the irrigation systems and the swimming pools in the community, make sure that they have those. And then finally would be everybody else that was above and beyond just domestic water service. So I hope that answers your question, Council Member.
So in my summation of what you just shared then, you're suggesting that with our new Public Works Director, he's already certified in these type of things. And so between our Public Works Director, between the work that Walt does specifically pertaining to this matter, because I think he was an integral part, and then yourself, that there is a check and balance system that would prevent us from hopefully making this type of costly mistake as we move forward.
Correct.
Okay. Yeah. I just like seeing that in place because, you know, anybody can make a mistake, myself included, but we have to do the proper assessment to make sure that as we move forward in a manner that is transparent, but also speaks to specifically what led us to where we are. And that way that check and balance is in place, regardless of who the Public Works Director is, regardless of who different entities may be that work as town staff, so that going forward, you know, we're in pretty good shape. And as a council, when we vote to do something that is mandated by the state or what have you, that there are certain checks and balances in place. That's just all I'm pretty much looking for.
Well, we've definitely learned from this one.
Yeah.
Kate?
Yes, so I think too, to your point, when this was first presented to us, it was presented in a way that it was required for us to do what we did kind of the exact way that it was done. When looking at it retrospectively, looking at all of the different ordinances, laws, you know, things that were passed and recommendations that were by the state and the federal government, we were required to have a policy, but not necessarily written the way that it was written. So I think presenting all of the requirements so that we can view those if there is something like this in the future, you know, we'd like to see, okay, what is it that we are exactly required to do? That way, a good point that was brought up on this one, why didn't we just do it going forward instead of saying someone who's had a sprinkler system for 20 years, now you need to install it. So these are all things that I think would have been figured out if we had in front of us the actual laws that were in place or the recommendations, you know, if you want to have grant funding, you need to have this policy. That would have been helpful so we would know exactly how to draft this, how onerous it would be. So that's number one that would be helpful. Number two, we can only do what we know about. Obviously, none of us received any notification from the state that something had changed. Randy, you yourself did not even receive anything. So to have those checks and balances to make sure that everybody is properly notified, when someone in any department receives an update, I think that's something that should be copied to you. So if they receive something that looks official, that says, you know, this has changed, it can't just be put in a stack and dealt with at a later time. It has to be brought to your attention right away. And again, you know, mistakes happen and no one's pointing the finger. We're all taking responsibility for this and we will make it right. But I think those are all things that are helpful in the future.
Any other comments?
Randy, on this list that you provided with us of the 50 customers that were subjected to this change, has all of them been notified and know to stop and don't go any further with this requirement?
They have. Everybody on this list has gotten a letter that we've rescinded our cross-connection program. They were informed that, you know, the law says they didn't have to put it in. They put it in, so we're going to be recommending a reimbursement back to the council. And the second round of letters that went out to second water meters and irrigation systems, mostly residential, they've all received letters that they didn't have to either. Now, some of them really jumped on that quickly, you know. Within a week of receiving the letter, they had already had theirs put in place. So we do have a few on the residential side. I think there's 6.
Okay.
So speaking of the list, my company's on here, and just for the record, I did not pay. My landlord did, and I will not receive money back. So let's make sure it's clear. But also, I have a question that maybe you can't answer, but it's an important question to ask. Is a new legislation 2, 3, 5 years down the road going to require this? And then the people that paid to have it and paid to have not have it, and I got to pay again to do it? I mean, is that something that could happen?
Can't predict that.
You know what I'm saying? That's a concern.
It's left out there.
It's possible. I don't feel it's real likely. You know, most of the time when new legislation is put in at any level, it's from this point forward. Well, what's in the past is in the past, or what exists. At some point, those will be upgraded, and then they'll have to comply and put it in when there's new service or they redo it.
And now, Randy, if I'm remembering correctly, when new things are occurring now, there are already backflow preventers that are required. So like if you put in a sprinkler system today, the plumber would do that, correct?
Yes. You know, when we built our new fire station, we had a backflow preventer put on it. You know, the architects and the engineers, and even the companies that build buildings know when they're required on new construction.
Is it required on residential new construction?
Next question. Not on residential, right?
It depends. If somebody's putting an in-ground pool and it's directly plumbed to their, connected to their plumbing, the pool installer should know that they have to put in, at a minimum, a testable backflow device.
So since Kirby's here, that's the question. If Kirby had to build his building today, would he need it?
Probably not unless he was required to have a sprinkler system.
Okay.
Or if he had a boiler system for heating, which automatically refilled itself connected to the water system.
Any other questions?
Well, do we need to wait until the insurance is clear, or do we need to vote on this today, or do we need to do both?
Well, Trey and I have been in touch with the insurance, and they're processing our claim. So there's going to be reimbursement for our expenses. Now, they want to look at each one of these case by case and make their determination. So they're not likely to reimburse the cost of removing them, as has been requested here today. They're not likely going to reimburse for any costs other than the backflow preventer installation and the valve itself. So if anybody had to do any additional plumbing within their building, which one on this list did, you know, they eliminated one water service altogether, combined it all on one meter on one service, but had to go inside the building and do some replumbing in order to accomplish that. You know, for them at that time, it made more sense to only have to maintain one backflow preventer than 2, when the second water service was just simply servicing a bathroom and a sink and a faucet somewhere else in the building that could easily be tied to the plumbing in the rest of the building. So they chose to do that.
Mayor, in my stance on your question about waiting on the insurance to come back, I don't think we need to wait on the insurance approval or disapproval, because we're still going to be responsible for it one way or the other.
Makes
So
sense.
I think we just need to move forward, and then if the insurance comes later on down the road, reimburses us, then we'll get part of our money back. But I don't think we should make the customers, our residents, wait on an insurance decision. Just go ahead and move forward and get this stuff corrected. That's my stance on it.
So, Mayor, if I may, with what Larry is pretty much recommending or surmising, I'll say, my question would then be for Randy and for Teresa, just as a forum there again for transparency for all that may be present or listening today, where would this reimbursement money comes from? Because that is ultimately going to be the next question, just for a point of clarity.
Well, yeah, we would write the checks from our water sewer fund, our enterprise fund.
And then put the insurance back into that?
Yes, and when the insurance reimbursement comes, then we replenish the fund with the insurance money.
Mayor, if I may, as far as the point here in the key printing scenario, the plumber has already found purchasers for those items. Do we want to go on a case-by-case basis where, like, if they've already found a buyer, that takes the pressure off of us of having to put, 50 of these on the market? Do we want to go that route, or do we physically want these back and sell them on our own?
Well, I think it's probably, as you mentioned, case by case. When you have 3 of them, your plumber is much more likely to have a reuse for them. And that if you just have one single one, and it was a one-off that your plumber only installs one of these once every 3 years or something, they probably aren't going to step up and offer to buy it back for any price. So in those cases, I would recommend the council that we ask the customers to turn them in to us.
Okay. Any other questions? If not, then do I hear a motion to, for these backflows, reimburse the installation cost of the backflow preventers for water customers who installed a backflow preventer but were not required by NCGS 130A-330? And like you said, go case by case on getting things right.
So move, Mayor.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be
So
known by
I'll make sure I
saying.
understand what we're voting on. So we're not voting on the hot water expansions, right? The hot water place, we're only the,
Well, to get them the money for what they did there, and then he said, like, we'd look at everything.
are we including putting it back like they want it also? Because I'd have missed that part if we did.
Well, you could do it step by step by reimbursement, then decide if you're going to reimburse to have them removed, and then decide if you're going to cover the cost of the water heaters.
So we're gonna do 3 different motions, or, okay. All right, so the first motion is to fix it, to take them, to
To reimburse
them.
them.
Okay, all
Right.
right, yeah, I'm sorry.
Okay, all those in favor of that, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And then do we need to consider voting on anything right now?
Well, I think it would be helpful.
Or just go-
Make a decision on whether to reimburse the cost of the hot water heater replacements for the 2 customers that we know have had to replace those.
I think we need a little bit more information on
I
that.
do too, because, I want to treat every customer fairly, but suppose they have a 15-year-old water heater, and then they want to go buy a tremendous one that is so much more valuable than the one they had. I think you're right, we need to really look at that.
Okay?
We want to treat them fairly, but
And then the third question, what about reimbursing customers who want to remove them? They're going to call their plumber and say, I wasn't required to have one, come back and take it out.
I don't think we have an option on that. What do you think?
I think we do need, like, invoices from the plumbers, though.
Right,
I think we
exactly.
need proof
He
of
has
what it's
those.
going to cost, and, but that doesn't need to come before
Was
us
it
each
what's gonna
time.
cost or what it costs? There's a difference.
Actual cost.
Actual cost.
So they have to pay
Yeah.
up front. I mean, that's just a question. I'm
Yeah,
not-
just let us know how much it costs to remove it.
So-
Then we'll consider that.
No, what I was going to say, so then I think then that perhaps there's more data that we need for these next 2 points about hot water heater and return back to backflow valve.
Yeah.
And once the staff can
I
give us
agree.
more
I agree
detailed data,
100%.
we can make a better assessment instead of doing it in the blind.
Okay.
So does everybody agree with that? We'll approve
And I
number
think we need to
one.
consider I hate to say it, but a time limit. I mean, 6 months or a year.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think we need to carry this on for years,
No, we won't.
So you're just saying make sure that the language is adequate for
Yeah.
what we're doing.
And we're going to
And-
do it if you give us a receipt, but we're not going to do it forever.
Right,
Yeah.
right. And also with the notion that we are a municipality who wants to treat everybody fair
Exactly.
in this response because we see where we are. Okay, that's fair.
And those latter two decisions we can have on the December 9th council meeting
Yeah.
agenda.
Good.
That's great. Just
Provided
get
with
us-
more data.
Yeah, that's
Okay.
great. Thank you so much. The next item on our agenda is the personnel protective equipment policy. Trey?
Mayor, Council. I come before you today for two quick policy proposals. The first is for the personal protective equipment policy. The town is committed to having a very safe work environment as possible as we can. It complies with North Carolina Occupational Safety and Health Act as well. And we've had internal policies in regards to work boots. There are certain safety equipment that we provide free of charge, whether it be gloves, vests, things like that. But there are some equipment that is constantly replenished or replaced with wear and tear, that the town has an internal policy to pay a portion of it. And then if they buy something that's more expensive than what we reimburse, they're responsible for the remainder. However, what we've noticed is there's a lot of gray areas, not a lot of documentation with it. So we've had some that said, well, why can't I do this? And why can't I do that? So what we wanted to do is put it in a more formal format to put some guardrails around it to where it would be applicable to everyone in the town. One for safety boots, the other for protective prescription eyewear. So all this does is it takes an internal personnel policy we've had, put a little bit more structure to it, and makes it a town policy that can be used by any department that deems their staff needs those personal protection equipment.
Any questions, Mr. Trey? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the personal protective equipment policy regarding protective footwear and prescription safety glasses and adding it to section 15 of the personnel policy?
Yeah, I have a question before that. On the reimbursement for the boots or shoes, that's once a year?
Once a fiscal year.
That's once every fiscal year? Okay, now, the glasses part is the one that I have a better concern of.
Yes, sir.
Like this, I lose my glasses all the time. A lot of times I lose them when I got them on my head. People with glasses, how are we going to? I don't want to be a devil's advocate, but how many times a year are we going to replace people's prescription glasses?
So this one is not on a fiscal year basis. There's actually a caveat in there that if it is done in a relatively fast fashion, they have to go to their department head for approval and explain why. Now, if they break it at work, it's damaged to where it's no longer, they can't see through it, then yes, that warrants it. If there's prescription change, then yes, we would look at it then. But just simply losing it within a fiscal year, it's not fair for the town to turn around and have to pay another $140.
So if in July, the town pays for my prescription glasses, because I need them to see what I'm doing. In December, I go to my eye doctor and my prescription changes, so we buy another pair for him?
If there's a prescription change. But normally eye prescriptions don't change that frequently. Normally they get to kind of a normal, whatever that normal is for the person. Now we can put some caveat in there if you do want to put for a loss thing.
Well, I mean, it seems like there's a hole in there where somebody could be abusive of the policy if we left it open like that. Because it's normally you don't get your prescription, but every year or every 2 years.
Every two.
Every 2 years, basically. But like myself, I've been supposed to have mine done 6 months ago and hadn't done it yet. But people that procrastinate on getting new glasses, they could abuse this policy if we don't put a guideline in there as we're not going to replace your glasses 3 or 4 times a year.
Okay.
This is protective eyewear.
Correct.
So not just someone's like
Not general.
It's not reading
glasses like
glasses.
you're wearing.
It's
So I don't
protective.
think it's something that someone would be like wearing home or
Yeah.
using to drive or, like it's what they're wearing at work, protective prescription eyewear.
Right.
Yeah, it's safety glasses.
Right.
Safety guys.
Yeah, it's
Protective.
prescription protective eyewear. It's safety glasses.
Okay, but I wear glasses, and if I take these off, then I've got a set of prescription work glasses to put on to wear other than this. Okay, all right.
So, I'm sorry. So if we're just kind of clarifying the policy,
I just don't want to get abused.
how much have we spent on eyewear already?
We have currently 3 employees that use this policy.
So just 3 employees.
And they have to come in, they have to bring in a prescription. We have a certain vendor that we use. They have to go to that vendor's, one of the vendor's partners from an eye care center, get fitted, get an exam, and we order it through our vendor, and it gets shipped to them directly.
And we're currently paying for it.
Yes.
It's just not in the policy correctly.
Correct. There's an internal policy for it, but there's also no dollar amount on the internal policy.
Okay, all right. And
This
back up
puts
to
the
the
dollar
boots.
limit on it.
How many on the boots?
Pretty much every public works department employee in Parks and Rec, like at the cemetery, things like that.
25. And we've been paying that already.
So nothing new from a,
And it's in the budget already.
Okay, so the glasses thing, nobody has, in your opinion, nobody has abused this thus far.
we had a
reoccurring member.
No, there hasn't been anyone who's abused it because there hasn't been guardrails around it, but there's been some gray areas where I feel like people were using it. And I'm like, well, this kind of streamlines it. We've had people, well, I'm on my notice. Can I still get a pair of boots? Well, no, you're leaving in
No,
2
you're
weeks. Right. So we just wanted to kind of put some of that in there.
Can you clarify that language? That was actually going to be my next question. Employees who are working out a notice are not eligible to receive it. I had no idea what that meant until you just said that.
So someone who's working out a 2 weeks notice for the
Right.
town, hey,
Can
I'm
you just
leaving.
clarify that with
Yes.
someone who's already put in their notice?
Yes.
Okay,
Resign.
thank you.
Absolutely.
Any other questions or input? With that, the input given, do you approve the personnel protective equipment policy regarding the footwear and the glasses according to our section 15 of the personnel policy?
Being that he's explained it to me so I can understand it, I'll move that we approve.
That's second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our agenda is on-call premium pay.
This is very similar to the first one. This is another policy where we've had an internal policy. However, as the town is growing, the needs for more on-call shifts are growing in different departments. So we're predominantly right now, we have an internal policy in our public works department for on-call people who are taking water calls. We've had other departments express interest in having this, whether it be the police department and their investigators who, if they get called out after 5 o'clock to go to a certain scene, they have to respond, or our Parks and Rec department who's hosting events after the normal business hours of the town and they're having to field calls and things like that, that they wanted to be able to offer an on-call policy for their department as well. This policy allows them to do that. What this policy does, it allows any department head to submit to the town manager, hey, I want to give an on-call premium pay policy for my department. What this policy also does is it doesn't pigeonhole them into following a certain standard. So, prime example, Public Works Department, their on-call premium pay, they get $150 monetary payment just for being on call, and then they get 2 hours for the first call and then hour for hour after that. They get called out on average 4 to 5 times, if not 6 times, an on-call period. Take Parks and Recs, and they have to come back to the town to respond to those calls. Take Parks and Rec for an example. They're fielding phone calls that don't take that long and don't have to physically come back to the town. So the department may not want to say, hey, I don't want to give $150 per on-call week because they're not going to be as inconvenienced as Public Works may be for having to come back into town. So this leaves the openness for the department head to determine what they deem is fair and works for their department. It goes to HR, who makes sure that it's in compliance with all the labor laws, and then it is sent to the town manager for final approval.
Any questions? If not, do I hear a motion to approve the on-call premium pay policy and incorporated it into Article 3, Section 15, callback and standby pay of the town's personnel policy? Do I hear a motion?
guess we need to understand it better.
So this policy also defines who's eligible. It's only non-exempt employees. So anyone who's exempt is not eligible for on-call pay. So an exempt employee is not eligible for overtime or things like that through the FSLA. They get comp time through town policy. So a department head would come where right now we have an internal policy for the Public Works Department. The guys rotate. I believe they're on call about once every 6 weeks. They run from Friday to Friday. If a water main breaks, whatever happens after 4 o'clock, it goes to their on call phone. They're responsible for responding. If it's a major issue, then they call in backup. Parks and Rec has requested to be able to do this. They host events at night, whether it be pickleball, whether it be karate, whether it be some other form where they have part-time staff on duty, but there's no supervisors on duty. The supervisors have been getting called pretty much every night there's an event, and they're just calling whoever's on the list. This would put someone on call for the week of Parks and Rec where this is the only person who's getting called for any issues at Parks and Rec. They're the only ones that's been inconvenienced. They get a premium for doing that, and then they get compensated for their time for doing that. And that way, if it's Brittany who's on call, Chris Acock's not getting called, or Coy's not getting called, or it just rotates it around. The police department, the police has to provide service 24/7, 365. Our investigators normally work a Monday through Friday schedule. However, crime doesn't work a Monday through Friday schedule. Right. So if they get called out because of a shooting or something major, this would be an investigator who's on call this week to go respond first, and then deem if he needs to call in additional investigators, if he needs to call in a lieutenant, whatever it is. But again, this gives him a premium for carrying a town cell phone that says, hey, when it rings, you got to answer. For knowing that you're going to have to be called in, so you can't go to the beach this week. You have to be able to respond if you need to respond. So it just gives them compensation for saying, hey, I'm going to be here to respond if the town needs me, similar to the Public Works Department, which is already in place.
How have we been compensating these people prior to this?
Overtime.
Overtime?
Well, comp time.
Comp time.
Mm-hmm.
Now, is this a one-time thing? Each department head will say anytime that you're on call, or is this like a case-by-case basis where it's like, okay, we have these 5 events happening this week, and so you're on call? Like, is this just a one-time thing that the department head is going to write their policy?
Yeah, this is your department's on-call policy. On-call runs from this day to this day. This is the compensation that I'm proposing for the week of on-call. And that is it. It is not something that should change because it would have to be approved every time by the town manager. Like Public Works on-call schedule has not changed, or on-call premium pay has not changed since I've been here. It has been what it's been since I've been here.
And does it allow for trading? Like if someone does have a vacation, they can switch with somebody else? Okay.
Yes.
Now with the clarification, do I hear a motion to approve this?
Just one last question, Mayor, if I may. So Trey, there again, I think you were saying that this policy on-call premium pay is pretty much the same as what we just talked about previously, putting guardrails on something that's pretty much in place. So we know what departments, for example, Public Works, it's already there, but perhaps not with our PD or not with Parks and Rec and Culture.
Correct.
Is that what we're saying?
Yes, sir.
So if we're bringing on 2 different departments, how does this fit there again, just for full transparency, how does this fit well in the groove of the current budget situation that we're already in, that whatever is estimated that could take place, that we have pretty much budgeted for, and that we stay in alignment with where our budget is?
Yes. So the 2 department heads I've talked to, one does not want to do a monetary payment per on-call. He just wants to give comp time. For every on-call week you pull, there's 2 hours of comp time that goes into your bank. And then you get called hour for hour. You get paid for those hours that you're out, or it goes towards your accredited time. I have another department head who is talking about potential. There's been no formal proposal, but it's talking about a potential monetary pay, but it will come out of a salary line item of like part-time employees, if that makes sense. So it is in the budget. And most, just like with the Public Works, we just build that into the salary. Now, you're not, in the grand scheme of things, you're talking about, for Public Works, there's 52 weeks a year, $150. You're only talking about $7,500 in the grand scheme. of things. So there is a cost, but it's not a monumental cost. And that one's already in the budget.
Yeah. So you there again, in that example that you just gave, you're providing data that we're able to tangibly see and understand and comprehend. And ultimately, what you're saying is that it's not just a comp pay or overtime pay, but more or less an incentive for being on call to provide whatever the town may need for that particular department.
Yes, sir.
Thank you for the clarity.
My pleasure.
Mayor, I got one more question.
Yes.
So, to clarify, I think, what we're potentially voting on is a policy that allows for the department heads to make policy. Is that what we're saying?
It allows all departments to be eligible for on-call premium pay.
Okay.
That's what the policy is. It allows us, any non-exempt employee in any department can have an on-call premium pay. It puts a procedure around how that premium pay is determined. A department head who knows their department better, like if I just put a blanket policy out that says every employee gets $150, and there's a department head saying, well, that's not in my budget, and I don't think that it is that labor intensive, this allows them to come in and partner with HR and say, hey, this is what I'm thinking. Does it make sure we check all the boxes, we're not violating any laws, and then the town manager can approve it. So there's a checks and balance 2 times. 1, to make sure we're not violating any laws, and then 2, to make sure that the town manager says it's fiscally responsible. So the policy allows on-call pay premium across the board for any department who needs it. And then it also puts guardrails around how it's put into place, because as of right now, there's internal policies which are great, but as department heads change, I don't want documents to get lost. I don't want, what is our policy? And then it gets changed through transition. This formats it and locks it in.
It allows the department head to customize it and make it specific to their department. So he's creating the policy, we're approving the policy, but now each department head gets to customize and make it.
I just feel, is it needed for us to vote on? That's my question. It just seems like it's, I don't know.
One thought. I can go along with this, and as I look over the audience, I think we've got every one of our department heads in this room, and I would not be afraid to give each one of our department heads the autonomy to go ahead and set their on-call pay the way they see fit. But the bottom line is, if it goes out and doesn't work like it is, us as a council, we can pull this back in and revisit it anytime we choose to do so.
You can. The only thing I will say about having it in a formalized personnel policy is when there's no boundaries, there's no boundaries.
Right.
Well,
In an HR world, we spend a lot of times worrying about things that hopefully will never happen, but when they do happen, they happen.
I'm charging all our department heads to make sure that you do it the right way and the fair way, because I don't want anybody working and not being compensated for it. As long as they're compensated fairly and our department heads use it wisely and can justify everything they decide to do with it. So based on that, if nobody else has any questions, I would move to approve.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Trey. The next item on our agenda is our calendar for next year. Lou?
So I went through the calendar, and our ordinance of how we have our meetings set, and I came up with our proposed meeting dates for next year. We usually do it in December, but we did it a little early this year so we could go on and look at it. Sometimes we had, like this past year, there was a few, meetings that we only had months that we only had one meeting.
July
because
is
of the
usually,
way,
Yeah.
the way that the holidays fell.
Right.
But this time, I didn't see much conflict, but, if y'all.
I still would like July to be a one meeting
Okay.
monther.
And then that is what we have to propose. So I know, I was putting it down thinking the same thing. I was like, ugh.
And
But,
the 7th is so close to the
Yes.
4th.
Well, based on that, I put a little check mark last night when I was going through this. Okay, April, we only have one meeting scheduled that month.
Right, that's Easter
Easter.
And that's
falls.
for the Easter holiday and stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, July 7th and July 15th, that's 2 for the month, but we got both of them at 9 a.m.
Oh, yeah.
That is a typo.
I would suggest
all right.
Strike the 7th.
So if we strike the 7th out, because that's so close to the 4th.
Yeah, I think I would do that because
Just
it's
strike it
so
all
close to
together.
the 4th. Yeah.
Strike it out all together.
Because like this year, we only had one meeting in
In
July.
July, right.
Because it fell really close to the 4.
Okay, and November the 18th, is that because of the election, we just got one meeting?
Correct, because
Okay.
last year we had one, and
It's always on election
we
day.
just, y'all decided at that time not to have a.
Right.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay.
In December, we usually only have one, but looking at the dates, the way they fell this year, the 16th's not that close to Christmas, but like this year, we only have, December 9th is our
Right.
meeting. So, and that was another one that I had a question about, if y'all wanted to have that meeting that close to Christmas or not. So,
What's the desire of the council?
I think we'll be busy enough in December.
so take
Yeah.
out the 16th,
Yeah,
I would.
yeah.
so take out July 7th and December 16th.
And I already know the 18th of February I will not be here. There's possibly a conflict for June 2nd, but I'm not sure yet.
We'll work that out when that gets here. But with these corrections to our proposed calendar, removing the July 7th meeting and the December 16th meeting, do I hear a motion to approve our 2026 council calendar?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item on our
Mayor.
agenda, excuse me.
Before we move forward, Lou, if you could speak to, this was the first year that we moved to doing the morning meetings.
Yes.
And my question would be, what type of data have we received from the attendance morning versus the evening? Because I know that was one of the reasons why we wanted to do that. We'd had kind of some requests from some of the citizens, and we wanted to try it. So what type of data have we looked at now for as attendance?
We've had more department heads at the meetings that are, even if they don't have anything on the calendar, on the agenda, that they're here, because then they don't have to get overtime or comp time to come in, and they're here. And our audience is about the same.
And
we
didn't
try-
you tell me that the views that we get,
The views are high,
Uh-huh.
so, but, honestly, it's about the same. I've not had anybody complain that they can't be here. I did have one lady call one time and say that she liked that she could be here, but she hasn't come.
But the option's there.
Yeah, that's right.
Drive at night in the dark. But I think overall, I feel like our doing the meetings during the day, we can have longer meetings and it not feel like a long meeting. The difference between coming in at 9 o'clock and working to 12 o'clock compared to coming in at 7 o'clock at night and working till
11 or 12 o'clock.
11.
Been there.
Because we have had a meeting like that, and I think everybody, after an 8-hour day at work and then coming in, it's very, very long. So I feel very happy with it, and I think our department heads feel very happy with it. And I haven't had any say from our citizens one way or the other.
Well, we talked about if the council changed and the person came on council had a problem, but the
We'd
council
adjust it
didn't
then,
change,
right.
so
Right.
we're good for 2 more years.
At least.
Thank you,
Okay.
thank you, Lou, I appreciate that. And the caveat about our about our department head staff having more flexibility with the day schedule, I'm grateful for that, because there again, as a council, we not only want to make sure that we are good with our constituents, but we're also good with our town staff. And
Yes.
Teresa, I know that's very helpful for you on your end, because anytime you got to compensate for someone to come to the meeting, that can flow into the budget piece as well, where we are trying to be cognizant of that as well, as good stewards as a council at large. So thank you for that assessment. And thank you, department heads. Thank you.
Did we vote on this council?
No, we did not.
Oh, we did.
We did.
We voted.
We voted
Yeah,
on this.
we did vote.
We voted.
I thought we did. Okay. I got lost. I'm sorry. Okay, the next item on our agenda is budget amendment number 9. Tressa?
Good morning.
Good
I'm
morning.
before you to present budget amendment number 9 through 11. Budget amendment number 9, in prior fiscal year, the town budgeted $95,477 to purchase a new valve machine. Although the machine was ordered, we did not receive it by the end of FY25. This amendment increases the revenues and expenditures by $95,477 to cover the cost of the valve exercise machine.
Do I hear a motion to make this budget amendment number 9?
So
to
move.
approve.
Second, all those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And we have received it. Now,
Not yet.
Well, they
we still
brought
haven't got the
it,
machine yet?
then they had to take it back because wasn't something quite right with it, and they haven't brought it back yet.
Well,
The-
Randy, make sure, and Jason, make sure when we get receipt of this thing for $95,000, make sure all the parts and pieces are there and working. Because it's a whole lot of money for something that
By July.
it's taking us about 2 years to get.
Yeah, it's been quite a while since we demoed it.
I know.
Right. Budget amendment number 10, Tressa.
Yes, budget amendment number 10, the town received the annual insurance and bonds invoice for FY '26, which reflected a 17.4% increase due to the reevaluation. In addition, several properties and personal items that were previously unlisted are now added to the insurance to ensure full coverage. Budget amendment number 10 increases both the revenues and expenditures by $64,122 for FY '26.
Any questions?
We don't have any choice on that. Move to approve.
It's,
Do I, okay, is there?
I do have a quick question. That just is such a huge increase. So, so some things that were previously unlisted, does that mean like newly acquired?
So, my opinion, one, properties. Even with me going through the fixed assets, we didn't have a lot of properties listed that we actually owned.
Okay.
Trey has made sure all of those properties are on our insurance, just like other equipment that we might have not known we had possession of it. It's ours. It was added to the insurance. So as a result of that, the bill came in way higher than we projected. So
Okay.
Do I
yes,
hear?
we don't have a choice. I mean, we have to pay the
Right,
insurance
mine was
bill.
higher too this year. Do I hear a motion to approve budget amendment number 10, increasing general fund revenues and expenditures for the 26 by $64,122 to cover additional liability insurance premium costs?
Move to approve.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
The next item is budget amendment number 11.
Budget amendment number 11, this budget amendment recognizes $10,000 in additional funding received from the Tourist Development Authorities to support the Nashville Farmers Market Music Series. This amendment increases both the revenues and expenditures by $10,000 for FY '26.
Do I hear a motion to approve budget amendment number 11, increasing FY '26 general fund revenues and expenditures by $10,000 for the Nashville Farmers Market Music Series?
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Thank you, Tressler. The next item is our Water Resources Development Grant. Coy?
Morning again.
Good morning.
Morning.
Earlier this calendar year, the council had approved 2 resolutions in support of an application for the Water Resources Development Grant, which is a grant program that's administered through NC Department of Environmental Quality's Water Resources Division of Water Resources. And NC Wharf and Tammy Rundle, who is here with us tonight, applied for that on behalf of the town. We were recently notified that our project was funded in the full amount of $1.25 million. So attached to this agenda report is the contract for NCDEQ outlining the requirements of those grant funds. And one of the things that I did want to clarify, it shows the whole project as that 1.96 million and shows the town's matching requirement of $655,000 in cash. So that is not additional funds that the town needs to come up with. That is counting funds that we've already expended for the purchase of the property, and then the grant funds we received for the purchase of the property through the Environmental Enhancement Grant, the work we did on the stream through the Stream Bank Rehabilitation Assistance Program, and then any funds that NC Wharf has contributed to the project. We also were recently notified of the $25,000 from Duke Energy. So all that money combined is that cash match. But the intent is to have no additional funds needed to be allocated from the town. So you have that grant contract, which is very lengthy. I will be glad to answer any questions on that. But at this time, we are asking that council approve that contract. And then once approved, we would have 3 years to complete the project. The project is to create a flood storage wetland bioretention area, installing a bioswale, removing invasive species on the property, and restoring native vegetation. So all of this combined will increase the wetlands flood water storage capacity and will help mitigate flooding impacts downstream.
Well, that's exciting. Do I hear a recommendation to approve the execution of a $1.2 million water resource development grant agreement for the Stony Creek Wetland Restoration Project?
So move.
Is there a second?
Second.
All those in favor, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
And Corey, thank you, and you too, for applying for these grants that we as a town and our citizens benefit from. We appreciate it so very much.
And we can do it in 3 years?
I was about to ask that. 3 years is pretty aggressive. We can really, because anything we don't use
It
goes
goes
back.
back,
So
right.
I'd love to use it.
He'll
So-
have us all out there working.
And
right.
Tammy, do you want to talk a little bit about the timeline?
Currently, the timeline is being developed in partnership with the Wildlife Resources Commission. And the goal is to have all of the construction component done within year one, and then we'll just be handling the maintenance and monitoring of the native species that have been replaced, that are replacing the invasive species, and any other kind of, water flows throughout the last 2 years. And then that way, that'll give us a timeline to work on if we need to tweak anything.
How extensive is that construction process?
It'll be an aggressive process. I can't say it's majorly extensive. It's just going to be to remove, basically you're going to have to dig 6.2 acres of area out that's running horizontally to the stream bank, roughly about 300 yards off. And the goal is that it's going to be terraced in, and we're going to be replacing it with, more absorption-based plants in that area, along with sand and rocks that are going to help with the filtration component. That should theoretically, as long as we can do it within the time frames of where we have the protected species, not, either having their habitat there as far as the wintering zones for some of the bats, or active in repopulating the species components of things that, we have to be cognizant of that. So we have very finite timeframes. So the plan is that we're going to be working within those several month periods to excavate that area, remove soil back on the property that could potentially be put back for the trailing system, that we can meander through it and reduce any other kind of impacts to that area. So we're going to be protecting the species, helping reduce the flood, and increasing the flood resiliency for the town.
Great.
So, very aggressive, but I can't really say it's as extensive as
Okay.
what, you would think as far as large scale, but it is 6.2 acres.
That's a big spot.
That's a help.
And this will come back before the council as it progresses. One of the next steps is getting an environmental engineer to fully design what that project is going to look like. And that'll, of course, come back to council before we start construction as well.
Perfect. Thank you.
Thank y'all so much. We do
Cool.
appreciate it.
Tammy deserves the majority of the credit on that.
She's been
Thank
great
you,
to us.
Tammy. We sure
Yeah.
appreciate it. Okay, that concludes our item agendas. Larry,
You see what I'm getting at? Mayor, I'd like the motion that we go into closed session or in pursuit of NCGS 143-318.11A to review and approve past closed session meeting minutes, and per NCGS 143-318.11A to discuss in negotiation of possible purchase of real estate.
there's second.
Second.
All those in favor? Aye. Thank everyone for coming out.